hopefully we can get some people on here, we can get some people chatting. I'm so looking forward to being able to see everybody's comments and to be able to talk to some people about everything that's been going on right now, because as we kind of know, this has been such a crazy time in the last little while. Just having people, all in their homes. I mean, we're all stuck at home. I'm stuck at home too. I know a lot of the places in the United States have been told, go home, stay in. In Canada, that's what we're doing here. We're making sure that, we're all, self-isolating and social distancing and all that kind of thing. And it gets kind of trying, of course, for everybody after a while. But I want to bring the paranormal and spiritual and entity seeker community together sort of into a new space, because I think what is happening in a lot of areas is that there's information, of course, that everybody's being bombarded with, and everybody's kind of figuring out where do we go, who do we talk to, because people are missing their families and whatnot, and what do we do on a front as paranormal researchers as well, because mark my words, as this continues and as this starts to ebb and end, our clients, our cases, all of these things, everything is going to be very different. So it's something we've got to start thinking about, and in the meantime, figuring out how to make this, you guys being home and all of that, how to make this an opportunity rather than simply I'm forced to stay at home, or it being a challenge or something like that. So I'd rather sort of take the challenges out of it and make this an opportunity, because I think that is just incredibly important. So I want to do a few things with you guys going forward, and that is I want to do some readings with you guys, right? Various books every day. Give you guys some ideas, talk about some concerns and things like that keep cropping up for people. Start to build that community and start to look inwards, because that is really what this time is about. I know everybody is sitting there thinking they're all bored and whatever, but there's a lot to do. And the other thing is that if you look at somebody like Isaac Newton, all of his periods of brilliance, guess what, happened when he was isolated during the bubonic plague, right? So all of his amazing discoveries and gravity and all that kind of thing, guess what he was doing? He was stuck at home, so you guys have no excuse. So first of all, anyway, I wanted to start off today with a bit of a reading, and the book that I picked is Manifest Your Desires, which is the Jerry Nestor Hicks. Yeah, so good. So good. And have kind of a bit of a discussion about that. But one of the first things I want to tell you guys about as well is I've been seeing a lot of posts and whatnot, hopefully, well, not a lot, thankfully, in the community from people who have a social responsibility to be spreading positive information and accurate information right now. And I've noticed a few that just simply aren't doing that. They are, giving half-truths or half information, and unfortunately what's happening is that, people are reading it, misconstruing it, and freaking out, thinking, that yes, it's the full thing and it's true and whatever. And I want you guys to really be careful about what you're reading, what you're taking in, and being able to sort of shut down your TVs and your radios and stuff when it's getting too much, because part of this is that we're in this mode right now where, of course, everybody needs information and everybody's looking at data, but it's like no matter where you turn, you're getting bombarded with all of this information. So I want you guys to start taking care of yourselves on a emotional and spiritual level, because what ends up happening is that you're being bombarded with all this stuff, and it's just the momentum keeps going, and that's all you're thinking about, and then we're just creating more and more of this. So it's really important that everybody stays aware. It's really important that everybody has that information, but at the same time, make sure you're distancing yourself a little bit from what's going on, so you can look after yourself properly. So that's something that's really important. So I want you guys to start thinking about that kind of that kind of a thing for sure. This really is our time to focus inwards. This isn't really about, constantly, as I say, bombarding ourselves with the same things that are out. So I want to read you guys something, some food for thought. And as I say, it comes from Manifest Your Desires. Words really do not teach. Your true knowledge comes from your own life experience. And while you will be a constant gatherer of experience and knowledge, your life is not only about that. It's about fulfillment, satisfaction, and joy. Your life is about the continuing expression of who you are. So I think that's such a powerful thing. That's such a powerful statement, because what ends up happening, I think, in a lot of situations like this, is we really lose touch and we lose base with what it is that brings us that amount of joy. And as we know, for those of you guys who have read Teaching the Living and who have followed Entity Seeker for a really long time, you guys have probably, are aware of the fact that, so much of what we think about ends up manifesting in our reality, right? So if our state of being is off, if our state of being is upset or negative or, is causing dis-ease, so dis-ease, disease, right? If that is all off kilter and off base, we know that what ends up happening, what we end up mirroring in our space is what? It's toxic, right? So we really got to be careful. We have to make sure that we know what we're thinking, how we're being, and moving forward. So that balance between awareness and who we really are and that joy versus being aware of what's happening in terms of the news, you guys have to really, really watch and monitor that. So don't be, listening to fear-mongering. When you read information, make sure you're delving into exactly what it is, getting the whole story, because I've been noticing that so frequently where people are just, they're posting things and it's either not accurate or say it's a half-truth or something like that. So, there's a few things that I want to at least give you guys to do. If you were bored, can't believe you can't be bored, but and there's so much to do anymore online and things like that. But I want to give you guys some paranormal resources that you guys can start checking into, because there's so much cool stuff out there that's being made available online. So one of those things is the Rhine Institute. So the Rhine Institute, J.B. Rhine, of course, one of the most noted parapsychologists out there, right? The J.B. Rhine Institute has released their video library of things to watch. So all of the speakers, if you guys want to study parapsychology properly, this is the time to do it, because the Rhine Institute has literally created this. They've got a massive library, and it's all available through the Rhine Institute. The other thing that I completely recommend is joining one of my favorite online classes, which is called MOOC. Okay, so it's Para, M-O-O-C, so M-O-O-C. MOOC stands for Massive Online Classroom, okay? So MOOC is absolutely free. You can go on, you can learn from some of the most incredible teachers. The classes and courses from past years are available if you guys can, log in and sign up for that. It's absolutely fantastic. I do it every year. The live classes are currently over, but all of the videos and stuff like that are there, and you can sign up for next year. So that is super cool. And the teachers are incredible from universities all over the world. So people like, Dr. William Morris from Toronto University. We've got from Coventry University. We have people from Edinburgh and Northampton and all sorts of these incredible minds that come together. So this isn't, something for hobbyists and ghost hunter type, this isn't that type of thing. This is true science, parapsychology, where you can sit down and learn from some people that have been doing this and are studying this at the forefront, right, for a really long time. So I highly recommend. So MOOC, you can find it on Facebook. Join the group. Come join it. It's really cool. And as I say, the classes and stuff like that are free. So that's something you guys can definitely be doing right now. So I was mentioning too that our focus and how we're focusing, right? Always, it really, really matters. And so we have to start thinking about, okay, well, what are we putting into our experience, right? What are we thinking about? Because whatever we're thinking about now is going to manifest into the future, right? So how are we going to do that? So when we start to think about what we want, oftentimes what we're thinking about right now is okay, well, you know what, I just want to get through today. I just want to, because a lot of people, you're like me, you've had to cancel events, if you're an event planner or anything like that, seriously, like, it's been so rough on everybody, and I totally get that, but we have to start thinking about what it is we want to put into our future rather than what it is we want to be, the lack that we have to maybe experience in the moment. So how are we manifesting that next thing? So one of the things that we've been doing here, which has been really neat, is doing something like drawing or painting or writing or something like that, where you're actually creating physically a vision of what it is that you want to manifest and you want to create. So those of you guys who have been in the Teaching the Living program probably know this and know this technique, where you're creating a point of visual reference so that you can focus on something other than the toxicity that's kind of going on around you. And we do this with clients with negative entities and things like that, because oftentimes you get so bombarded in a haunted home with all of this crazy coming in, that you end up kind of losing track about what it is that brings you joy. So you don't want to be doing that. You want to be focused on what it is you want. Look where you want to go. Everybody that's got a driver's license kind of knows this, right? If you start looking and veering off into the ditch or something like that, oftentimes it's because, you're looking at the ditch and you tend to drive that way. So we have to make sure that we're focusing that habit of thought into what it is we're creating. So this is a great thing you can do with the kids too. You can turn around and have them, draw a picture, or you draw a picture and title it, and then start creating the details around that picture. What is it? Is it a fantasy? Is it something fun? Is there a story behind it? What is it for you? So that's something that can be a blast. And as I say, you can do this with scripting and story writing as well. And it's been amazing for clients. It's been really cool because people that are dealing, as I say, with hauntings and negative hauntings and things like that, they tend to get very hyper focused, right, into the immediate experience. So that's always something to think about. So what is it that you're thinking? How is it that you're feeling? And being able to check in with yourself. And when you find yourself getting bombarded by too much news and too much of this crazy, make sure you're kind of tuning it out. The one thing we always tell clients when we're dealing with hauntings that aren't so much fun and things like that is that whenever we've got that kind of a situation going on, conversation tends to run in that direction as well, right? So what ends up happening sometimes in conversation is that we ramp up the momentum of the things that are going on that isn't good for us. So we'll get on the phone with somebody, especially with hauntings and things like that, and we will talk about the last frightening experience, how scary it was. This was terrifying. Oh my God, I can't believe this has happened. And an hour later, we're still on the phone with our friends. So we end up sort of bombarding ourselves with all of this negative momentum, and it picks up and picks up and picks up, and then it kind of starts to snowball. So that's something that we really want to watch out for. What's your dialogue? What is the language that you're using when you're talking about this? Are you talking doom and gloom, or are you talking about what maybe you're going to do for your community, or what you're going to do after, once everything heals and gets better? I'd like everybody to start thinking about this a little bit differently. I'd like you guys to start thinking about this rather than as a forced isolation, but rather an opportunity for you guys to take a step back, let the world kind of heal and breathe a little bit, and take a step back for yourselves. As we know, the universe is a mirror, and we have to be harboring some pretty crazy stuff in order to have manifestations show up like this, right? So I think we've got to really take a step back, really plug back in, and it starts here, right? We can't control what's going on around us, but we can turn around, or at least for the immediate, but we can control our response to that. So we have to focus and love ourselves enough to refocus some positive food, positive energy, within our own minds. Now that might mean whatever for you. It might mean meditation, it might mean spending time with your kids, spending time with your animals, going for, walks in nature maybe, as long as you're keeping away from other people, and doing things like that you guys can just take a breath and start to plug back into who you really are, which is what we just read about in Manifest Your Desires, right? So that's the first step to getting what we want. And the sooner that we can do that, the sooner that we can sort of plug back in, that everybody stays home, and whatnot, the sooner this will start to ebb. And that's just really important. So the other thing I was going to mention to you guys, I have a very good friend who's my co-host on Haunted Hospitals, Richard Eastep, and he is on the front lines of this pandemic because he is an EMT, and he leads some of the EMTs in Boulder, Colorado, and he has been absolutely begging people to stay home. Please stay home. He is just in cancel events. So if you're a paranormal researcher or event promoter or anything like that, please, 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 and I'm reinforcing his message, please, if you're hesitating on canceling your event, please do that. And look into your community in terms of what financial help that you can get, because it's not, that paycheck is not going to be worth more, illness and, being at risk. It's just not worth it. So please, I'm just reinforcing Richard's message. Please make sure you stay home, and cancel any paranormal stuff you've got going. So as researchers, the next big question becomes, well, what do we do? As researchers, things are going to change. I'm already getting calls that are very different from, what I've gotten in the past. People start to lose it a little bit as well because now everybody's at home. So that's something we have to kind of think about, where, people that could, say, for example, get away from paranormal activity in their house by going out or going to work are now stuck in it, right? Like they can't leave. So that's one of the reasons why being able to look after ourselves is such a big deal, because as we know, right, if you are one of these people who is stuck at home with a haunting that is just a nightmare, it really does have to do with your state of mind, state of being, and how you're conducting yourself in that way. So the more you heal, the more your environment is going to heal too. So this might be the opportunity for you to kind of have to plug in and stop ignoring, right, the stuff that's going on at home, in order to start paying attention to fix whatever turmoil you've got going on, so that can all start to heal up. So, as I say, it's time to look at this as an opportunity to address what we need to. And tomorrow, I'm going to be back doing this again, and we're going to do another reading from this or something else. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what it's going to look like paranormal research-wise going forward. And what we can do to prepare for that. So I'm going to have more ideas. I'm going to have more, things for you guys to think about. Some things you can access, and lots more. So please join me, if you guys can, on April 4th, Saturday. I can't wait. I'm going to be doing a live presentation of ritual, exorcism, and film and television. And normally that's at the expos only, so like the comic expos and things like that. So I'm going to be doing this live online. Tickets are like half the price, so like $20. And it's going to be way more intimate. So it's going to be one-on-one. It's going to be kind of be like this. We're going to delve into the idea of exorcism and all of that kind of thing. It's going to be super cool. And I'm really looking forward to doing all of that with you guys. So let's plan for that if you can. It's going to be on Crowdcast, okay? It's not going to be on Facebook. It's going to be on Crowdcast. So get yourselves a Crowdcast account, so you can come and join me. There's going to be people from all over the world there. We've got people signed up from Australia. We've got people signed up from the UK. We've got people signed up from Canada. We've got, it's just crazy. So it's going to be so much fun, such a blast, and I can't wait to see everybody there because I can't wait to talk to people. And I think it's going to be really cool. And then you'll get a copy, too, of the live broadcast once it's all done, which is really neat as well. So I am thrilled to be doing this with you guys. And as I say, we will do this more frequently so that we can do we can stick together as a community, we can stick together as researchers, we can stick together as human beings, and we can all get through this day by day. So, remember, stay positive, and, don't get stuck, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye.